Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Allsewpetite. Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I will demonstrate how to make this boxy pouch. This is a super fun project, perfect for any beginner. This boxy pouch features top zipper closure. When you open the zipper, the main compartment is fully lined. You will find a zipper tab on each side and a pleated sides that create a boxy shape of this pouch. If you prefer to create more sturdy and structured pouch, I would advise to use some stabilizer or heavyweight fabric such as waterproof canvas, cork or faux leather. If you would like to learn how to create a pattern for this boxy pouch in a size of your choice, then head over to my blog where I explain you how to do it. I also give you some useful tips on how to hack the pattern if you would like to mix different fabrics and create separate panels. I will include the link to my website in the description box below. Otherwise, use the free pattern on my website. Okay, let's get started. To complete today's project, you would need some lining fabric and external fabric. Depending on the boxy pouch you would like to make, you might need to use some woven interfacing and some stabilizer to interface your fabric if you prefer more structured pouch. I'm using a cotton today, so I decided to interface the back with some woven interfacing. However, for my external panels, I'm using this nice and structured already wax canvas. Hence I don't need to use any more stabilizers. Additionally, you would need number 5 zipper. The length of the zipper will depend on the size of your pouch. If you are not sure, just grab your lining piece. I already have one pre-cut. And measure the straight edge. Also, you would need a ruler to take some measurement, some marking tools, clips and pins to hold your fabric in place, some scissors and snips. A seam ripper is always good to have on hand in case if something goes wrong. And if you prefer, you can add either a care label to inside of your pouch or maybe some metal tags to the outside. You need to cut one main panel from your lining fabric and one zipper tab from your external fabric. Depending on the style of your pouch, you're going to cut either one or two external main panels. If you are using my original tutorial, you would take the same pattern piece from your lining, fold those two short edges, so you have a one long edge on both sides, and this way you create one big piece for your external fabric. For today's tutorial, I decided to cut my panel in half, add some seam allowance to it, and then create pouch with two different colors for my external pieces. I also created a short tutorial on my blog to show you how easy you can amend and hack the pattern to create different shapes, so you can maybe play with the color blocking or use different types and textured fabric for different effects. On the wrong side of your zipper tab, you can draw a line in the middle, and then we're going to fold those two longer edges towards that line. You can take that to the pressing station and use an iron to press that flat. I'm using the wax canvas today, so it's easier for me to just do it with my fingers. Now we can line up those two folded edges together by folding the zipper tab in half. So you're going to line it up and then pin it together. You're going to take this to the machine and stitch along those two long sides close to the edge. Once you've got those two edges stitched down, you can take your scissors, Fold your zipper tab in half and just cut it into 2 separate pieces. When you have 2 separate pieces, just put them aside for later. Take your external pieces, and if you use the tutorial to separate them and make different shapes, just follow the instructions to make sure you assemble them correctly. If you're using the pre-made pattern and doing the same style today as me, then you're going to have 2 rectangles, and with right sides together, you're going to place them on top of each other. We're going to line up on all sides, and then we're going to pin it along that one edge. Now we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to stitch along that edge using 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once you've got that stitched, you're going to take this to the pressing station, open the panel, and you can open the seam allowance and press the seam allowance flat. If you like to be more creative, you can, for example, top stitch along the seam, just to give it a little bit more character. Okay, next you can take your zipper and with right sides facing down, you're going to line it up along one edge of your external panel. So you're going to line up those edges and pin it along. We're going to base the zipper using about 5mm seam allowance. If you have to, change your standard machine foot to a zipper foot to make this process slightly easier. Once you've got that basted, you're going to take your lining and with right sides together, you're going to place it on top. Line up that straight edge along that zipper tape and pin it together. Just like that. We're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. Once you've got that stitched, you can take the panels and put them wrong sides together. You can press the seam allowance flat if you want to. I'm just gonna use my fingers to do that again. And then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch along the zipper, making sure we catch the external and lining fabric. So make sure you have the lining fabric pressed nice. So we don't have any pucker rings or by accident the lining doesn't shift. So just keep that in mind when you're sewing. With right sides together, you're going to fold the panel in half, lining up the edge of the zipper tape along that side edge and pin it together. Make sure you keep the lining out of the way for now. Here we go. If you want, you can take this to the machine and again baste the zipper in place using 5mm seam allowance. If you feel more comfortable and confident, you can take the lining and with right sides together, you're going to fold it in half and you're going to place it on top of the zipper, sandwiching the zipper in between the external and lining pieces, the same way we've done previously. You can move those clips to hold everything together. There we go. Now we can take this to the machine and stitch that seam using 7mm seam allowance. Now we have both sides attached, so you can open the zipper and we can turn everything right side out. If you're using a continuous zipper like me, you might want to use a safety pin to pin it on the end to make sure that the zipper pull doesn't fall out of your zipper tape. Just like that. So you open your zipper and then turn everything right side out. Again, you're going to take this to the pressing station and we're going to make sure that the seam allowance is nice and flat. Again, I'm going to do that with my fingers only. And now we can take this to the machine and we're going to stitch along that edge using the same width as before. I used the edge of the zipper foot before, so I'm going to do the same. It might be easier if you turn the pouch wrong side out, because it is easier to put it under the machine this way. So you can take the edge and you're going to stitch it like this, and just when you get to the end, when your zipper end is, you're going to have to maneuver the fabric out of your way so you can see what you're doing. Now we're going to attach the zipper tabs. However, I find that it's best if we secure the zipper on both ends beforehand. So you can take this to the machine and stitch a couple of times on one end, then line up the open edge of your zipper nice and neat, and then we're going to stitch a couple of times on this end as well. If you have any excess of the zipper on either end, just trim it off. Take one of your zipper tabs and fold it in half, just like that. Now take your pouch and we're going to line the zipper tab in the center of your zipper. So it should fit between the external fabric. and you're going to pin that in place, just like that, and repeat on the other side. We're going to take this to the machine now, and we're going to baste the zipper tab in place inside 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once you've got that zipper tab in place, you're going to divide the boxed pouch in 4 equal parts. To do this, you can either fold the pouch in half like this, find your middle and maybe make a little notch, or use a marking tool to do that on both sides. And then you're going to take those notches and line them up with your zipper. So your middle is here, your zipper is here, and you're going to mark those corners to find the remaining parts. Because I divided my external panel in half, I'm going to use that seam as my guideline. So I'm going to make sure the middle of my zipper match that center seam. You can pin that in place just for now and do that on the other side. This way I can find my other remaining notches. So I can take my marking tool and draw it. Or you can take a scissors and make a little snippets. That might be easier to see. To make sure your pouch is nice and even and symmetrical, this next step is very important. So you need to bring those 2 side notches and meet them in the center, making sure that the zipper and the center of your pouch matches. It might be a little bit difficult to make sure the fabric doesn't shift. So what I like to do it by half. I move my clip to one side out of the way, and I bring one side towards the center. You want to make a fold. So my notch is here and my center is here, so I'm going to make sure they lined up. So I'm going to create a fold, and then I'm going to bring that over, just like that, making sure again those folds line up. You can pin that on this end, move your clip, and then do the same on this side. So you've got your notch, spread the fabric, bring that notch towards the center, so towards that first fold, and bring the fold over. It's a little bit tougher with my fabric because it's a little bit sturdy. And you can pin that lined up and pin it, just like that. So you're creating a folds that meet in the center. So the inner fold will meet in the center where the zipper is on both sides. So if I show you from this side, if I take those two pins out of the way, you have a little sandwich. You have a little sandwich like this. So you have your V on one side and another V on the other side. Those inner folds where you've got your notch, they meeting in the center, and your zipper also lines up with the center. Okay, we can turn the pouch and repeat that on the other side. Here we go, just like that. What you can do now is take this to the machine, use about 5mm seam allowance, baste that in place, do the same on the other side, and then I will show you what to do next. Once you've got your side stitch, you need to finish the raw edges. To do that, you're going to take your lining piece, the one that it's longer, and we're going to fold it in half twice. So you're going to fold the long edge so it meets the raw edge of your pouch, and then you're going to fold it again on top so all your raw edges are hidden. And when you are ready, you can pin that in place. And now we can repeat that on the other side. If you want to add your care label, you can do that now. So what I like to do, I like to take my care label and just stuck it there. Now we can take this to the machine and we're going to stitch along both sides. Just so you know, you're going to have two stitching lines on this side. If you are someone who prefer not to have it, then skip the previous step and do not base stitch the panel together. Instead, just pin them on sides, and then you can wrap the shorter edges to hide that raw edge. This way, you're going to have only one stitching line on this side and one stitching line on this side. Once you've got that, you're going to open your zipper and turn the entire boxed pouch right side out. You want to line up those folds, so when you have your short edge, you're going to push it with your thumb just so it's straight. You're going to line up the folds nicely. It might take you a while to line them nice. What's best to do is that the last seam that you stitched, it's parallel to the base, and this way you will create those nice boxed corners. So when you have everything lined up, you can close your zipper and you have your boxed pouch ready.